So, welcome to Montreal. Table of contents. So today we're going to be discussing some history, geography, climate, activities and events, culture, holidays and festivals, food, and fun facts about Montreal. History. So earliest human presence in Montreal dates back to 2000 BC at the beginning of the early woodland period. Ancestors of a great part of Quebec's Indigenous people hunted, gathered, and cultivated around the St. Lawrence River. French explorer and cartographer Jacques Cartier approached Hochelaga at St. Lawrence Iroquois fortified village. Cartier arrives at Stadacona, sorry guys for the difficult words, which later becomes the site of the village of Quebec, and kidnaps Chief Danacoa, taking them to France in the spring of 1536. Montreal became a hub of fur trade in the 17th century, and conflicts arose amongst the First Nations for control of natural resources. The Great Peace of Montreal is signed by France and more than 30 First Nations. After the British victory of the Plains of Abraham and capture of Quebec City, the British regime officially starts in 1763 after the signing of the Treaty of Paris. Under British rule, the Bank of Montreal was founded in 1817, and in 1825, the La Sainte Canal opened. Geography. Montreal is in the southwest of the province of Quebec. The city covers most of the island of Montreal at the confluence of the St. Lawrence and Ottawa rivers. Montreal is defined by its location between the St. Lawrence River to its south and the Rivière des Prairies to its north. The city is named after the most prominent geographical feature on the island, a three-headed hill called Mount Royal, located at 232 meters above sea level. Climate. Montreal is classified with a warm summer humid continental climate. Summers are warm to hot and humid with a daily maximum average of 26 to 27 degrees Celsius, which is 79 to 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Cold fronts can be crisp, drier, and windy weather in the early and later parts of summer. Winters bring cold, snowy, windy, and icy weather with a daily average ranging from negative 10.5 degrees to negative 9 degrees Celsius, which is equivalent to 13.1 degrees Fahrenheit to 15.8 degrees Fahrenheit in January. Activities. So an activity you can do in Montreal is to visit Old Montreal. It's one of the most distinctive sounds of Old Montreal, which is the clatter of horseshoes on cobblestone streets. It's a different kind of atmosphere, unlike the amazing skyscrapers of the business district, and favors a quaint, cheerful, crowded look. Streets are crammed with shops, bistros, museums, galleries, and sidewalk vendors, and one can expect a baker to pop their head out the window and announce the day's fresh bread. This is the arts and entertainment district of downtown Montreal. So let me just repeat the title here, Visit Quartier des Spectacles. So this is the arts and entertainment district of downtown Montreal, and it's home to everything from sculpture galleries to film conservatories. Its centerpiece is the Palais des Arts, a performing arts center that hosts orchestras, operas, and ballet troupes. It's also home to the Salle des Gayseaux, the oldest theater in Montreal, and Grande Bibliothèque, the most visited library in Canada. Stop by the Montreal Science Center. The gleaming glass architecture is comprised of staircases that look like chromosomes, and the center includes a museum, a childcare center, and an IMAX theater. All the rooms are interactive, where kids can stack blocks, connect wires, and play with magnets. For those who are tech-minded, there are touchscreen computers for virtual lessons and games. With more than 100 free activities for visitors in all ages, demonstrations and workshops are activities to explore without spending a penny. Underground City. Located right under Montreal, the underground city is comprised of a network of corridors, home to shops, offices, banks, restaurants, bus terminals, and metro stations. It stretches for about 20 miles and contains thousands of businesses. While everything is marked with direction to keep people from getting lost, The scenery is constantly changing with modern shopping areas and multi-layer staircases. Embrace Mount Royal Park. With lush, colorful landscapes, Mount Royal Park is one of the best places to visit in Montreal. It's situated atop the volcanic rock cluster that is Mount Royal and contains different playgrounds, picnic sites, skating rinks, ski slopes, tennis courts, hiking trails, and rowboating lakes. There are tons of activities to take part in, such as the Art and Nature Family Walk. Other informal events include weekly drum circles called Tam Tam Jams. Visit the Olympic Stadium. The stadium was built for the 1976 Olympics, and it's now one of the best places for big events. From soccer matches and football championships to wrestling and gymnastics, the stadium hosted it all. At the Olympic Stadium, you can also find Montreal Tower. This 540 feet tower leans over the sky at a 45-degree angle and offers an incredibly unique look over the Montreal treetops. Visit the Montreal Botanical Garden. Visit the Montreal Botanical Garden, which is a collection of gardens and greenhouses. It sweeps across 190 acres of land and has been recognized as a National Historic Site of Canada. Each garden has a theme. A few examples include the Japanese garden filled with bonsai and bamboo, the First Nations garden with medicinal plants favored by the Indigenous people of Canada, and the Chinese garden designed to look like the royal garden from the Ming Dynasty. Holidays and festivals. Festival International, I think that's supposed to be written in French, Festival International de Jazz de Montréal. Montreal organizes one of the best jazz festivals every year, which is not only attended by the locals and Canadian citizens, but also by every tourist and many tourists from around the world. This festival is usually the headline event for every year as it stops music fests of North America. For those interested, the music festivals occur during late June to early July every year. Mural Festival. Montreal's Mural Festival is a public art event that displays murals in the city with arranged guided tours and fun activities. There's been an app created in connection with the festival that guides audience members through the top mural city. Since its creation in 2012, the mural transforms the Saint Laurent Boulevard into the real open-air museum for a week. Montreal World Film Festival. For those interested in cinematography, the World Film Festival is for you. The festival attracts millions of visitors every year from 70 different countries. Top actors, directors, producers, and writers are present to admire and critic works of artists. The event occurs for 10 days during August and September. Culture. Today, Montreal is home to over 2 million residents and over 120 ethnic communities. In 2006, Montreal was designated as the UNESCO City of Design and is now renowned for its art and culture scene. The City of Montreal's cultural policy aligns with the province of Quebec's regional cultural policy for Politique Partout, la culture, policy everywhere, culture. Montreal continues to think about how to address its complicated colonial history and takes actions to reconcile with the Indigenous peoples. In 2020, Montreal adopted its 2020 to 2025 strategy for reconciliation with Indigenous peoples, efforts to include decolonizing city services to ensure a more inclusive representation of Montreal with its new mural arts program and creative residents focusing on local Indigenous artwork. Now, food. Bagels. Montreal bagels are different from New York bagels in that they are smaller and have a sweet flavor due to a cooking process that includes water and honey baths. This trait was popularized by Jewish immigrants from Eastern European countries, and the bagels are unique for their sweet flavor and crunchy texture. The sesame bagels with cream cheese at Fairmont Bagel and Saint Viateur Bagel Shop are recommended. Those bagels look so good. Wow. Smoked meat. Montreal's smoked meat tradition also originates from Eastern European Jews who brought the recipe when they immigrated from countries like Lithuania. This cured and smoked beef brisket is similar to New York's pastrami, but the Montreal version has a more peppery flavor. Schwartz Deli attracts crowds that request sandwiches 7 days a week, and while most in the restaurant dine, Others take their sandwiches to go. It's advised that you specify the desired fat level and to request extra rye bread if you plan to share your sandwich. Pudding chômeur. With a name that translates to unemployed man's pudding, pudding chômeur is a dessert made with typical ingredients like flour, butter, eggs, sugar, cream, and maple syrup. For the full experience, the dish must follow a buttery rich meal of meatballs or shepherd's pie. It's recommended that visitors try au pied de cochon's version. Fun facts about Montreal. Montreal is the largest of over 200 islands that make up the Hochelaga archipelago. Excuse me. Municipal regulations prohibit buildings taller than the height of Mount Royal's summit. The first official hockey game was played in Montreal on March 3rd, 1875. Montreal is the only Canadian city to have hosted the Summer Olympics. Montreal has more bike paths than any other North American city. That's interesting, actually. Montreal is home to the world famous Cirque du Soleil. Okay, so thanks for joining us. So the next virtual tour will be in 2 weeks from now on the Monday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we're looking forward to seeing you then. Thanks, everyone.